All right, good evening, everybody. Calling to order this meeting of the Administrative Committee of the North Ridgeville City Council. Today is Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. Time is 6:31 p.m. Start by rising to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let the record show that all members of the committee are present this evening. We have Councilman Jim Gillespie, Councilman Cliff Winkle, and myself, Chairman Jason Jacobs. Also with us this evening is Mayor Kevin Corcoran, President of Council Martin DeVries, Councilwoman Holly Swank, Councilman Bruce Avens, Safety Service Director Jeff Armbruster, Fire Chief John Reese, and Assistant Clerk of Council Sherry Ma. Tonight we have before us the Administrative Committee meeting minutes of April 5th, 2021. Are there any corrections to minutes? Okay, hearing none, the minutes are approved as written. Obviously, we all know that due to the ongoing restrictions associated with COVID-19, we are unable to have physical attendance by the public this evening, but as usual, we are broadcasting via Zoom and YouTube as well, and certainly encourage participation from our community via either one of those platforms. So the lobby session will be open, and anybody that is participating may feel free to type in or ask questions or make comments during the course of our discussion this evening. We are here to discuss three ordinances, all of which are somewhat related and pertain to plan approval fees and permit fees for commercial buildings in the city. The three ordinances are T64, T65, and T66. So I guess I'll just start with by kind of talking to or asking Councilman Winkle to give us a little bit of an explanation here, as he was very involved in the introduction of these.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are you going to discuss them one at a time after this summary?
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll talk about T64 and then kind of give a little bit of summary. A month and a half ago, we met, discussed trying to recover fees for the fire department's work doing plan reviews and acceptance testing of new and retrofitted remodeled buildings. So this is a new version of language we originally discussed about a month and a half ago to try to achieve that, more or less. So it's the same intent with different language to try to accommodate.
Good. All right, thanks. So the first one then is T64 2021, which is an ordinance amending certain sections of NRCO Chapter 1444.04A. And it appears that this was just correcting a typo that existed in the ordinance, essentially reducing the fee that was listed from $575 down to $525 in order to make it match.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you're right. We didn't really reduce the fee. They were charging at $525. We're just changing 1444.04 to reflect what 1444.05 states at the $525, which is what they're charging anyway. So this is, I think in the last meeting, Councilman Booth even said, hey, do a review if you could of the fees. CBO first and I did that. We did, throughout trying to write these ordinances, we did uncover that this just didn't match up. So that's all this is, fixing two numbers so they match up to 1444.05.
It makes sense to me. Any questions? Any comments from the administration regarding that? Any questions from our other council members? So then I guess we would just entertain a motion to recommend that to go back to council.
Make motion to send that to council.
Second.
Okay, so the motion was made by Councilman Gillespie and seconded by Councilman Winkle to send T64 back to City Council. Next up is T65.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Oh. Okay. All right, so all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? All right, so Councilman Valesky, do we have to do it individually? Yeah. No, okay, gotcha. T65, 2021, an ordinance amending certain subsections of NRCO section 144405 by adding 2 subsections. Either Mayor or Councilman Nickel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there's two parts of either doing fire alarm or fire sprinkler work. One part is plan approval, and the other part is permitting. So T65 talks about 144405 or plan approval fees. Part of what the building department does, they go through a plan approval process. And in addition to that, when it deals with fire alarm or fire sprinkler, the fire department also does a plan approval. So you'll see that we've added a D and an E on the 144405, which will be a plan approval fee just for fire alarm or fire sprinkler. And we put it, instead of putting it in one letter with CBO first and I, for his coding purposes, that's why there's a D and an E. So 150 will be, instead of $300 fee, it's basically 150, one way, 150 another way to do the plan approval fees, which would hopefully help alleviate some of the costs of fire departments using to do said plan approvals, and then the building department as well.
Thank you. Does the administration have any comments to add to that?
We discussed this at length. Chief Reese was in the meeting. For all of the meeting. It makes sense. There's a lot of work that's being done on the part of the fire department, trying to get some of those fees over to them. Review for the work.
Any other questions, comments from the members of council? Jerry, has anybody joined us and asked any questions or made any comments?
There are no questions or comments at this time, Chairman.
Right. Well, then with that, I guess again, we'll entertain a motion to.
Motion to send T65 to council.
Second.
Okay, so it was, motion was made by Councilman Valesky and seconded by Mr. Winkle. All those in favor, say yes.
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 Yes. All opposed. And then lastly is T66 2021, which is an ordinance amending certain sections of NRCO chapter 1444.12 by adding 2 subsections.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you'll see that in here, we're actually injecting letter I, shifting all the other letters down, and then also adding a letter P is what we're doing in this 1444.12. So this is the second part of what I mentioned earlier. This is the permit fees. Plan approval was the last one. This would be permit fees. So once plan approval is done by both fire and building, that comes back with an adjudication letter saying, you know, adjust this or adjust that, and then this will be the actual permit to do the work. So you'll see that letter I, this is these are fees to be coded directly to the fire department. And when they pull their when they pay at the building department, they'll be coded to go to the fire department. Didn't try to make this very complicated, but I did split it up sprinkler versus fire alarm because I work in a lot of cities around the state, and what happens is if you do a square footage number for a fire alarm, and let's just say I'm doing a sprinkler monitoring system in a larger building, you could maybe put 12 devices in and pay thousands of dollars in permit fees, which is just, it's not logical. It's a broken system in some other towns. Not all of them, but some. So that's why we have, you know, a sprinkler system is going to cover the building. There's a square footage cost for that. For fire alarm is per device. So that's why we split up 2 different ways in letter I. And then letter P, letter P has been added. That is what we were trying to incorporate to have a new business owner who's taken over an existing building pull their new business permit, and that would also be coded with my conversation with CBO first and to go to the fire department to cover both building and fire, to go in there and make sure that it's there's no life safety issues in that premise, or it has been altered by the new occupant, make sure there's nothing that would be a life safety issue. Chief, did I cover everything pretty well?
Yeah, so.
So that's the two letters there. So we got not just fire on this one, we also have this is also adding the ability to go into new occupants that are occupying existing spaces.
And so then for letter I, it's two separate fees, 150 for the alarm and 150 for the fire suppression, is that correct?
Yeah, so they're doing both systems, and you'll see that it's square footage for a sprinkler versus device for alarm.
Right, gotcha, okay. Leslie, do you have any questions?
No, Mr. Chairman, I know Councilman Wickles done a great job getting this all together, and especially going from the last meeting to this meeting. Very clear cut, great job, and I did a lot of hard work with this, so I thank you, especially to help out the fire department, because they had to do a lot of work and not getting paid for it, so excellent job.
Thank you.
Any additional comments from administration or from our members of council?
I would just like to say, again, echoing the same sentiments that Leslie just did a great job. My bank that I work in is right in front of EB Fitness, and I know the fire department's been over there again and again, putting all different teams in there to inspect the place and see what goes on. And there's a lot that goes into it, and I think they should be compensated for it. So great job, way to put it together.
I would point out that the fees are reasonable compared to other cities that Mr. Winkle works in. He did a lot of work on this, and I like him a lot too.
Thank you. I like to add, Mr. Chairman, that to build on what the mayor said, I kind of sampled the six cities surrounding us and across the state. So this is, our 150 is a little low, but we're starting somewhere. You know, some places go 250, but I think it was reasonable, especially with the square footage and the device fees that are on top of it. So it's still within line of surrounding cities and reasonable upfront cost. The plan, well, that's a different ordinance, but we did the same thing in the prior ordinance as well.
All right, good, fair enough. And Sherry, any?
No comments, or excuse me, no comments or questions at this time.
Okay, any other comments, questions? All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion to send this back to city council.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's it for this evening. No further business before the committee. We will adjourn. Thank you all.
Yeah, Chris was on his way home.
Yeah.